You're listening to the Line Sports Talk Podcast. It is Tuesday, December 6th. Let's get going. Back, and hopefully our sound is working. Joe Peeps in the office as usual tonight. Peeps, what's up, man?
My balls, my gut, and everything just hurts from what I just witnessed last night. I mean, I thought I've seen a lot being a Jets fan, but that was just abysmal, man. The normal colory, happy self is just I don't know if I got it, but for the sake of the line, got to go on. But man, it's tough.
Yeah, dig deep, buddy. Dig deep. That was tough. And keep in mind, I put up with 14 miserable seasons as a Raider fan where happiness just wasn't part of my early week. You know, beginning Monday morning on a weekly basis through 14 seasons, I woke up and shook my head and go, why do I bother? Why do I wake up and get excited to watch a team that's just going to disappoint me? And now I know why. 14 years later, it's finally paying off. That Oakland Raider team is 10-2. This is not something the average Raider fan is accustomed to seeing, not the young fans at least. But since 2002, I haven't been this excited on Sunday mornings. It's good, man. I like it.
Well, how about this? How about that old black and blue AFL rivalry, Oakland and Kansas City on Thursday night? Not only are we treated to a good matchup on Thursday night, but it's a rivalry. It's an old school rivalry game where both teams hate each other, and there's high stakes on the line. You can't beat it. It's actually a great matchup.
Yeah, it is. It's and this is in recent memory. This is probably the best Thursday night game we've been treated to this season.
With other than maybe week one of a rematch of Carolina and Denver, because no one knew yet that Carolina was about to be a shit show this year. So
sure. No, that was a great game. That was a great game, and boy, that really did spell out the season. But Thursday nights they've been abysmal. Terrible games, but this one should be a good one Thursday night. If it turns into a 31-3 Oakland Raider laugher, I'll be pretty happy, guy. I don't see that happening. Kansas City got real physical with them in Oakland a few weeks back, and there's no reason why they won't again. Andy Reid, week in and week out, continues to prove why he's the Walrus. I'm the Walrus.
Well, in Arrowhead, that stadium's going to be rocking, man, and shake it. And this is a real test. I mean, I love everything I've seen from your man Derek Carr. I mean, I don't think it's a question. I think at this juncture right now, he is the league MVP. The value of what he means to his team, he plays, because I know people want to say the Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott. I can't side with that argument because of all the pieces they have around them. Derek Carr you need someone in the last moment, like, who has had more game-winning clutch drives this season than man?
You know what? I don't know that anybody has. He's been solid as a rock, and I can tell you that we've played a lot of tight games in 10 victories this year. I think about 7 or 8 of them have been pretty tight victories. But each time, I have all kinds of faith going into the fourth quarter. Ever since that week one when he showed that we're going to march downfield and we're going to play this game with gigantic balls and we're going to go for 2 to win this game on the road. Ever since he showed that, I felt, I don't ever want to say comfortable, because comfortable is not even fair to say. I'm squirming and I'm standing up and I'm dancing around the living room and screaming and shouting. But yeah, this team can play. They're magical. They're explosive, and that's the key to it. Is all of a sudden, boom, 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 they can score. If they're down by
the offenses can be very, very overwhelming to some, because it's got that kind of offense. They can put like 14, 20 points on you, and it seems like seconds, and it's overwhelming. This passing attack. And one stat that I saw today, they're doing this all. Derek Carr is still putting up these numbers with really not a very good running game. Latavius Murray, I think I saw, has like only 530 yards on the season, and only 100-yard game all year long.
Yeah, he's got 9 or 10 touchdowns, but that's just all inside the 10. He's maybe popped one from outside that range. Jalen Richard is a nice change of pace back. They mix these guys in. Last week against Buffalo, let me back up for a second. Ever since Carr hurt his finger against the Panthers, he has not taken a snap under center since. Everything has been out of the shotgun. They ran out of the shotgun all day against Buffalo, all day. And they weren't churning and burning 150 yards from scrimmage on the ground, but he didn't take a single snap under center. And that's troubling. He's going to have to get over that. But I think maybe that's just let's give you a couple days for the swelling to go down, get all your range of motion back. I've jammed and dislocated fingers before, especially that pinky. It takes a couple weeks before all the range of motion comes back. The little tendons in there get strained.
Yeah, in fact, it's on his throwing hand as well. So
sure. And you just want to be careful with it.
I tell you what though, I watched him sling the ball against the Buffalo Bills, and I don't see any, I don't see any signs of a hurt finger on his a throwing hand hurt finger the way he throws the ball though.
No, he's throwing darts, man, and they stuck it up Buffalo's goalie in the fourth quarter.
That's nice. That's always nice to see.
Cool shot.
The whole vaunted Ryan Brothers defense is kind of, that little talk has kind of calmed down over these last 2 years because there's really not much of a fearsome blitzing coming from everywhere. Ryan Brothers defense, especially Mad Santa Claus over there. He's not even. The whole year, a couple years back, where everyone's like, well, I don't know. If my brother would cut his hair and groom up, he would have a job in this league. No, your brother doesn't have a job in this league because everywhere he goes, defensively, they're awful.
They're awful, yeah. Now, granted, Dennis Allen hasn't exactly done a bang-up job with the personnel in New Orleans that Rob Ryan was working with last year. That's a shit show defensively, but, yeah, he hasn't put a good defense on the field in a long time or ever. I think he had some really deceptive statistically looking defenses when he was with the Raiders years ago, and in a few other places, especially when you're getting beat by 30 points in the second half. Teams don't throw the ball on you anymore. So, yeah, you're number 3 in the NFL in pass defense because you're losing by 40 points. Look
where else he's been. The Cowboys, the Browns. They didn't really exactly they weren't the doomsday Dallas defense when he was there by any means. And they're the Browns. The Browns. That's no more need to go any further.
And that was Rob Ryan, though. That was Rob Ryan in Dallas with guys like DeMarcus Ware. Good football players. Hall of Fame football players. Now, it wasn't a stacked defense in Dallas by any stretch, but guys like DeMarcus Ware make you immediately better.
Ask Tony Romo about his defense, his run game, and his offensive line that he had throughout the years. Tony Romo is a class act. I hate to jump too off ship, but this came when we're talking about Dak Prescott. Do you think for a second this Tony Romo sits back with such fucking back pain and envy when he's looking at Dak Prescott? Like, you son of a bitch. You come in, take my job. Now you have everything in your rookie season in Dallas that I never had and throughout my entire Dallas, a good offensive line, a good offensive line, a great running game. Look,
he's really well protected, and I'm sure that Romo looks at a lot of that and thinks, why me? Why didn't I get an opportunity to play behind this line? But I think Tony Romo's career is over.
Tony Romo did have an opportunity to play behind that offensive line in a DeMarco backfield, not Zeke Elliott, but still a very good running back. And have all the pieces. He finished second in the MVP voting. If it weren't for Aaron Rodgers having thrown 37 touchdowns compared to 2 interceptions or something ridiculous like that, he would have won the MVP.
Well, that was the year that was the catch down the sideline that Dez caught with his hand and tried to plant his hand on the ground, lost the ball. That was the play that ended the season, and that was potentially a Super Bowl team.
It's tough to say that. Tough to say. Maybe styles make fights, and Dallas did run over Seattle that year behind a running attack. It's tough to say they go into Seattle and win that game. I know it's coulda, woulda, shoulda, but I truly believe watching that was a catch.
Yeah, I thought so. I think the whole discussion, maybe in the off season, we'll tackle that entire story about what is a catch, because to this day I still don't know. And I've been watching this game, this sport that we love. I've been watching it for 40 years, 35 years. And I still don't know what the hell they're doing with a lot of the officiating. But, yeah, things are starting to take shape. So to the point of the show here tonight, there's a few things we're going to talk about. One is we really want to talk about the Raiders in this matchup on Thursday night a little bit. But I think the more pressing issue is now are we 13 complete weeks into the season? We are. We're 13 weeks into the season. What does this coach's hot seat look like?
Well, I'm going to start off with my Jets. I don't think it's time to fire Todd Bowles yet because they did win 10 games last year with Ryan Fitzpatrick as your starting quarterback. That's got to count for something, but what really disturbed me about last night is just the way – I know we had maybe a couple weeks back we talked about we don't think these guys are also playing for their the name on their back of their jerseys so they don't quit. Well, if the New York Jets did not quit on Todd Bowles, I mean, what did they do? Because, I mean, I watched that game last day. There was just absolutely no effort. On national television, your team came out and played like that. It's just utterly embarrassing, and that's got to reflect on the head coach in some way, shape, or form. That team didn't look prepared. They didn't hustle. They literally the only one who played that entire game who actually looked like he gave a shit to be out there was Leonard Williams.
Yeah, it was bad. It was disappointing and embarrassing from Jump Street. It was embarrassing.
No, it was one of the worst performances, and I've been, the Jets fan, as a Jets fan, you see some shit. You know what I mean? You're like a beat cop. You see some shit as being a Jets fan. But I don't know, as a Jets fan, of all my years, I've ever seen anything that bad of a performance in a single game. It was just, there were Dwayne Allen. I mean, he might as well just been playing catch with Andrew Luck. He would walk in the end zone
last night in any of those fantasy matchups, especially if you had to use Dwayne Allen to win your league or to make sure you got in the playoffs here in Week 13. Holy shit. He delivered. What if you had Dwayne Allen on the bench last night? You're trying to make the playoffs. You watched him suck in 3 touchdowns.
And I did listen to some people make some good points. But I kind of battled with this in my head throughout the day. I was like, you know what, I know Todd Bowles won 10 games, but that team quit on him. Like, he lost the locker room. It's almost they play like they don't respect him. So it's like, going forward, is that who you want as your head coach? But in the same breath, I do sympathize and say, okay, maybe you got to give him one more year. I mean, after all, look how long Jeff Fisher has been at the Rams helm.
Yeah, so that's a freaking mystery to me, and we could rail on that for a while too. Fisher he has been the champion of mediocrity for years. I don't think he's been in the playoffs in maybe 10 or 11 seasons, maybe longer. Without a Steve McNair, he hasn't been very good. I think Jeff Fisher is going to stick around there for another year for 2 reasons. One, they kept him around because he was a head coach who moved a team before. He was in Houston when they moved to Tennessee and became the Tennessee Oilers. He was a coach who was there during a transition. He knew how to handle his players throughout a move. So going from St. Louis to Los Angeles, it made more sense than not to keep Jeff Fisher. They also had a number 1 overall draft pick where they were taking their franchise quarterback to be. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, but they select Jared Goff. Jeff Fisher is there to oversee that process. And I do think, just like in college football, sometimes the experience of the head coach, being a figurehead, can mean something, mean a lot more. But the X's and O's in the NFL field tend to suffer. So I think that there's the explanation as to why Jeff Fisher is staying. It's either that or he has nude photos of ownership in Los Angeles.
You got to wonder.
Yeah, you do.
Jeff might have something on you.
I've seen a lot of articles regarding Todd Bowles, and they're bringing up a racial issue and suggesting that Todd Bowles was brought in to rebuild a crappy team, and because he's black, that he has to be gone because he didn't fix it fast enough. And I just think it couldn't be further from the truth. I even hate that discussion. And
yeah, I'm not going there by any stretch.
Yeah, it's a horseshit discussion. It's not. That has nothing to do with it. The best player on the field plays. The best man coaches. Black, white, brown, or purple. Todd Bowles looks like he's lost the locker room. That's a problem. He had no control over that team last night. Absolutely none. Say what you want about Jeff Fisher, but that's the same team that gets on a plane, travels cross country, and wins a game they're not supposed to win. Now, granted, they went to New England and they got raped, but we knew that was going to happen. New England does that to teams.
And then the week before they went into the Louisiana Superdome and gave up 49 points. So
yeah, they got smoked.
Yeah, and Jared Goff. I know it's kind of too early to say, and the Rams just don't have any weapons on offense to play with. And I know that's a tough situation. You want to talk about a quarterback in a bad situation? Look at Jared Goff. Look at Cody Kessler. Dak Prescott was the fortunate son to get put in the situation that he was in.
If Dak Prescott ended up in Cleveland, he'd be on his 3rd concussion right now. Nobody would be talking about